Thank you for joining us today on Indivisible with John Stubbins. I'm your host, John Stubbins. Thanks for joining us today, America. The Clinton family has been corrupt for a very, very long time, decades and decades, as you know. Most recently, as you know, Hillary Clinton with her bleached bit, hammered cell phones, hiding over 30,000 emails, trying to corrupt an investigation and basically destroy evidence, as we know. And one of her buddies, her and Bill's, is Doris Matsui. And Doris took over a seat that her late husband, Bob, had since, I think, 1979 in Sacramento, California. Completely corrupt, completely dirty. Doris helped funnel money from China, dirty money, to the Clintons, Bill and Hillary. And my guest today is the wonderful Chris Bish, who is running against Doris Matsui to finally unseat this corrupt Democrat in Sacramento. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the opportunity. I am grateful to be here, and hello everybody watching. We've got a jam-packed show tonight with a lot of information. Get your pen and paper or record it, because I don't think we can cover all the corruption that we're going to talk about today.
That's right. And by the way, I've got Chris's information scrolling at the bottom of the screen so that you can contact her via her website or Twitter. And I just want to say, this is for U.S. House. So Chris is a U.S. House candidate running against the Democrat Doris Matsui. This is in Sacramento, California, California District 6.
Correct.
Just to touch on this, Chris, what I led with about Matsui, Doris Matsui funneling this dirty money from China to the Clintons. Let's start right there.
Okay, well, we're going to start current day and go back. So we know that there were a lot of emails missing from the bleach bit and destroying everything. Well, it turns out that one of the contacts that they did discover that was involved even in the current emails was Doris Matsui. That was something that was just recently broke. So we were able to identify that. Of course, I don't know the content of those emails, but it's going right up to that election that Doris was involved with the Clintons. Now, going back, Doris's late husband, Bob, he was elected to Congress in 1979. And they sold their house here in California and moved out to D.C., bought a nice house in Chevy Chase, have been there since, 1979. And then when Bob passed away, she won his seat and has had, I believe it's 7 successful campaigns since then. So we've been under the Matsui rule since the 70s. Now, while Doris was living in Maryland, she was on the transition team for the Clintons when Bill was elected, and then eventually she was hired on as a permanent staffer. And at that point, according to the research, we've got articles from Recall and Roll Call, and Judicial Watch was all over her. They named her as the ringleader for the Chinagate money laundering for the Clintons. And this lady's deep. She's involved in a lot of stuff. And it took several years for Judicial Watch to even get around the protections that the Clinton was giving her to stop her from testifying. And
I tell you, just hearing more and more about her, it makes me sick knowing that she's involved in the dirty money funneling to the Clintons. The Clintons have had a corrupt reach for probably as long as Joe Biden, half a century. Okay. Yeah. Corrupting our government, corrupting cities that they've been involved with. The Arkansas, when Bill Clinton was governor there, leading all the way to the White House, and then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton and Doris Matsui has the nerve to get involved with this dirty money funneling from China. I also want to talk about this, and this is something Chris brought to my attention, that the Air Force Base near Sacramento, near where Chris lives, had standing toxic water that she did nothing about, right?
Yep, neither her nor her late husband. They've known about the toxic water there since the 80s. And now we've got a federal lawsuit against the water district, the Air Force Base. And, Doris, if you listen to her commercials, she says she's for clean air, clean water, and the environment. But I know in my community, we have 10 wells that service my area. 7 of them are closed because the contamination is too high. The drinking water in my community of Antelope, we have 3 wells, and they're telling us that the contamination level in those wells is acceptable. Now, I'm a cancer survivor, and one of the cancers that's caused by the contamination is kidney cancer. And I was very lucky. Mine was caught early, but I know a lot of other people who have all of the known side effects from the contamination at that Air Force Base. Now, that's one of the motivations that I had for running, is when I called her office, emailed her office, messaged her on social media, I couldn't even get a form letter back because I want to know, where are you? Why haven't you been calling on the EPA, calling on the Department of the Air Force, doing what needs to be done to get this cleaned up?
Right.
And it's just
right. What do you?
But I guess I'd have to pay her a contribution to get a response.
Yeah, and that was my next question. Have you gotten? You haven't gotten a response or an acknowledgement from her at all on this since the 80s?
This has been going on since the 80s, since her husband was there, and it's just dead air.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Chris. What is the community doing? Are there other lawsuits that have been brought in this case?
Okay, these are heavy duty lawsuits. So right now, the lawsuits that I'm aware of are the Sacramento Suburban Water District, and that's filed in the Eastern District of California, and the Rio Linda Water District, which is also part of the Eastern District of California. And the reach of this contamination, believe it or not, is worldwide. And the reason I'm going to say that is because we have open storm drains. So if my contaminated water runs off my lawn or anybody else's lawn, it goes directly to our creeks and streams, to the rivers, to the aquifers, that all the food that's grown in California, you're getting my contaminated water. And then it's flowing directly to the ocean to contaminate all of our food and coral reefs and all these environmental issues that are, we're seeing the effects of it because nothing.
And supposedly the Democrats are the party of the environment, right? That's what they say.
That's what they say. But everything they do is to the contrary.
Yeah. It's all projection. Like down in Los Angeles, they've got this homeless problem, just like they do in San Francisco, probably in Sacramento.
Horrible.
Sacramento just as bad. And I there was a report that before all of this nonsense with Antifa and BLM started, there were reports coming out of Los Angeles and San Francisco and probably Sacramento as well, that these homeless populations, there's rats, feces, heroin needles, all this stuff, urine, blood, it's all feeding into the water supply. And that's getting into not only the water that people are drinking, but like you said, the ocean. And it kills me because I remember, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago, how they were fighting out there to save a smelt about that big, and they diverted all their water.
It's not an indigenous fish.
Right. Yeah. They diverted all the water so that people can't have safe drinking water, for this tiny smelt that's not even indigenous. And so I have no sympathy for Doris Matsui or for Nancy Pelosi or for Maxine Waters or what's the mayor's name down in LA?
Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff. And actually, my friend Eric Early is running against him and really putting up a fight and showing all the dirty laundry. It's, if you think about it, we really have the rat pack here. And I don't mean, Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra. I'm talking about the rodent pack. And they're coming out of California. These people, it's about dirty money, dirty environment, lies. Everybody's got ties back to the Clintons. I don't know about you, but I've got Clinton fatigue.
Me too.
And
Me too, Chris.
We got to get rid of them once and for
I'm
all.
sick of them.
Nothing that they touch that isn't just corrupt and damaged and dirty.
And by the way, your friend that's running against Adam Schiff, let him know I want to bring him on the show because I want to expose Schiff just like we're doing Matsui and Pelosi and Maxine Waters. We got to get them out. They're corrupt. They're liars. They're destroying the United States of America. They're destroying the state of California, which is really sad because, when I lived in California in the 80s, it was a beautiful place before it was ruined and destroyed. The magic still existed there. By the way, Chris, I know that you had brought to my attention that Matsui and Adam Schiff had both claimed that their permanent residence was in the state of Maryland, not the state of California. And this was between like 99 and the early 2000s. And that you have property tax statements that deal with this.
Yes, we have all of the tax records. They were actually caught in a House Ethics Committee, both of them, for violating residency laws. And it was picked up. Someone leaked the committee report to a group called Taxpayers for Common Sense. Now, Roll Call and McClatchy DC division both reported on this story back in 2008. And it just got swept under the rug. It really didn't get picked up here in California. And we know that she was a full-time staffer in the Clinton White House for several years. And, that's where her son attended school, was all in Maryland. So, yeah, it's all about covering each other's back. I know Doris decided to voluntarily give the money back, which is another pattern of behavior for her. When she gets caught taking dirty money or doing something unethical, she gives the money back and says, "Oh, I'm giving it to charity," and doing those sort of things to get herself out of trouble.
Yeah, but it's not her money to give back.
Exactly.
Okay.
So but we all know under a Pelosi speaker, her best friend is not going to get investigated by the ethics committee. It's when we flip the House that we have to investigate all of this money laundering, these dirty dealings, these backroom deals, these tax breaks, you name it. And speaking of backroom deals and tax breaks and dirty committees, Doris eloped over Easter weekend 2020, so we're all locked down, and she's on spring break, running off like a teenager, eloping. But she married a very, very wealthy, powerful man by the name of Roger Sant. Now, Roger was the CEO of a company called AES, which is a huge multi-billion-dollar energy corporation, and they have energy and connections all over the planet. And what do you know? Doris just happens to be a senior member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee. So I'm going to say this right now, before the election even happens, she needs to immediately resign from that committee. That is an ethics problem with her being on anything that will have any influence on her now husband's company, AES. Yes. She needs to be removed immediately. Nancy, if you're listening, Doris, I know your staffers are. We expect your immediate resignation from any boards or committees that involve your new husband.
Yes, and I call for all Sacramento residents to call and complain about this. Don't just expect that this is going to go away. I want you to call and demand that she resign from this committee. That is absurd.
It's not just a Sacramento issue. This is a national issue. These committees reach across our entire country, and it has influence all over the world.
Yes.
The fact that she is so deep in with the Clintons, and now she's married to this gentleman who owns AES, the House and Energy and Commerce Committee. What do you want to bet it's going to go back to Russia or Ukraine and the Bidens and all that energy that was going on?
Give us his name one more time, Chris.
Roger Sant, S-A-N-T.
Roger Sant. So I make this call then to not only people in Sacramento, but people across the United States.
Yes.
I want you to call your senator, your congressman, and demand that Matsui remove herself from this committee.
Yes, that is the House Energy and Commerce Committee. She needs to resign immediately. And honestly, this is something that the president should be involved in calling for that resignation.
Yeah, that is completely unethical, and it doesn't surprise me coming out of this corrupt Matsui family and all that they've been involved with. By the way, Chris has already agreed to a Wednesday, September the 9th town hall at 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time at the McClellan Field. It's a convention center in Sacramento, and Doris has not agreed or acknowledged to appear at this town hall with you. That's right, Chris, right?
That is correct. That is correct. We've actually put out the offer to do 3 separate town halls as opposed to a debate, so that the public has the opportunity to ask questions of both of us. So it's fair, it's balanced, and it gives the constituents in the Sacramento and West Sacramento area an opportunity to ask the questions that they want to hear, not from a reporter, not from some third party. And I've asked the Russian-speaking community of America, who's sponsoring this town hall, to they're allowed up to 200 seats, and I said, I want to keep everything fair and balanced. Offer her 100 of those seats. I'll take 100, and we'll just let the public ask these questions. This is a neutral organization. This isn't conservative or Democrat. They're there for the community.
And I know that you're a constitutional conservative, Chris, and I love that about you. You're a cancer survivor, okay? I know that some of your issues and the things that you want to drive home for your constituents, for the people of not only of Sacramento but the state, are this homelessness problem, the unfair taxes that you're burdened with due to these sanctuary cities and illegal aliens and all these nonsensical rules that Gavin Newsom puts on the state. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I actually sued the governor of California back in April, and we're working our way through the federal court, and we've just filed paperwork with the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, because I'm suing him for the violations for the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and the 14th Amendment, and a whole slew of constitutional violations in the California Constitution. I can tell you right now, between the Matsuis and the Gavin Newsom, I'm not a popular girl in Sacramento with the Democrats.
That's okay.
It's okay. You know what? I'm ready to take them on. Let's do this. California deserves better. There are still parts of California that are absolutely gorgeous. And, I'm going to tell you, for all the things that they're doing and the people that they're running out, the industry that they're running out, I'm not willing to quit. I'm not willing to be driven out of my home because they are greedy and corrupt and want power and money. I'm taking on the governor. I'm taking on Doris Matsui. And by the grace of God, the Republicans will flip the House, and I won't have to mess with taking on Nancy Pelosi. But I can tell you what, I will. This is over. They are not getting a free ride anymore, any of them.
Yeah, and see, you know, and that's the spirit that Americans need to have right now. You can't lay down to these people, because if you do, it'll just be one thing after another. They'll continue to erode your freedoms. They'll continue to erode the U.S. Constitution and your rights, and they'll drive you out. They will drive you out.
Yes. Well, they're not driving me out. This is my home. I've been here. If I wanted to live in D.C., I would have moved to D.C.
That's right.
But I am here, and they're not driving me out. And if that means we have to keep filing court cases to expose the corruption, then we're going to keep filing court cases. And we're going to keep going on programs like this. And, you know, I'm going to beat her in November. Just, you know, people just need to understand we are done. We've got Clinton fatigue. That's why Hillary did not win the election. The president won the election. He's going to win against Biden. And I'm taking out Doris, and we're going to flip the House.
That's right. And by the way, I know that you had mentioned something about the connection to BLM and Antifa.
Yes. Well, it's not so much that it's a connection to them. It's she doesn't speak to the riots. I've been looking for her. Sacramento's been attacked, you know, just like all the other cities. We just had the district attorney's office in Sacramento. The windows smashed in. I actually had surrogates who went down there on their own. And I was telling them, get out of there, don't get hurt. But they were taking pictures and sending me messages right from everything that's going on. And when you check out all of Doris's press statements or social media, talks about defunding the police, holding the police accountable, and the taxpayers in my area, we're the one that's fitting the bill. California is hit so hard, not only with COVID, but we have this ridiculous law here, AB 5, that put independent contractors out of business. Now we've got all of our small business owners that actually have employees getting hit, and now we have this nonsense with and with the rioters coming out. You know, if it's a peaceful protest, that's one thing. But we've got them with the umbrellas and the flash cameras and lighting things on fire. And we're getting no leadership out of the person who's supposed to be representing us.
Yeah, that's because they want the chaos, right?
They do. And now we found out that they've opened up a headquarters right here in Sacramento to run their riots and their disinformation campaign, just right over here on 20th Street in Sacramento. The door is painted.
Do you know the address?
I do. It's 911 20th Avenue in Sacramento.
Listen to that, people. 911 20th?
Correct.
911 20th Street in Sacramento, California. Antifa has set up an office.
Yeah.
We cannot tolerate this, America. This is unbelievable. And you should be demanding that office is shut down immediately. And you should be calling with phone.
There's more to it about that. They're saying that these are spontaneous, peaceful protests when we know they are not spontaneous. And now we know how organized they are, that they actually took up office space to coordinate these attacks all over our state.
Unbelievable.
Come on.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And why isn't the governor shutting them down? They shouldn't be allowed to set up an office anywhere.
You know, this governor, he likes the chaos. It gives him more control. People are afraid. And I understand the fear, and he is a fear monger, and that's how he's getting money, and that's how he's getting power. We have small businesses going out of business. I know several bankruptcy attorneys in the area, and, you know, they're doing a booming business. I know that our governor has a moratorium on evictions and on foreclosures right now in the state of California, but eventually he can't stop the banks from taking their property back or seizing their collateral. So guess what?
Yeah.
Not only are evictions high, but a lot of those people, they're not going to have to worry about being evicted from the landlord because the landlords aren't making those payments, which means we're going to have another foreclosure crisis in California. People have to get back to work. And our representative in Washington, instead of obstruction, which is the only thing she does, and she preaches obstruction for the president, is she needs to be there saying, hey, California needs to get back to work. District 6, we need to get back to work. People have to feed their families. And she should be leading the rally saying, if you're sick, stay home. If you don't feel good, stay home. For everybody else, get back to work. Right. Now, you know, we recently had another thing pop up in California. A lot of people here, we all heard about the mail where people were getting these random seeds through the mail that they didn't order. So last week, people started getting envelopes from the California Employment Development Department. And so one lady, she got 30 letters to different people with her home address marked urgent from the California Employment Development Department. So we do know that a lot of people didn't get money from the CARES Act and the stimulus money that they voted on. And now we find out that someone used this lady's address for 30 claims, all with different names. And what's truly frightening about this, and this all ties together, is to make that unemployment claim, to get that money, that stimulus money, you had to use a social security number. Well, we know this one lady, and it's happening all over Sacramento. It's being covered in the local news that people all over the county are receiving these letters. To make that worse, they're trying to force us to do this strictly mail-in ballot.
Right.
And you know, the post office isn't catching 30 different names, all of a sudden getting mail at an address. And now we expect them to do the same with these mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
I know. I talked to one lady last night. She contacted me. The EDD, she got a letter for her deceased son. He's been passed away a year and a half, and she got an EDD letter for him. And he's still on the voting rolls.
Unbelievable.
So we're investigating that today to see if he voted in the last election.
Yeah.
Or at least in the primary.
Those voting rolls in California need to be cleaned up. President Trump needs to send out, members of the Justice Department to enforce that, because this is nonsense. And by the way, Doris Matsui doing nothing about BLM and Antifa right there in Sacramento, and them setting up an office, it makes my blood boil. That just really angers me. Everybody, you should be calling your senators, you should be calling your congressmen, demanding that office be shut down immediately, and demanding that Doris Matsui is removed from that House committee. That is absurd. That is
that has to be done before the election. That needs to be done this week.
Yes. Everybody pick up your phones. Everybody pick up your phones and demand that Doris Matsui has to sign herself off of that committee immediately. Immediately.
And we do need a House Ethics Committee into members of Congress. And I hate to say it, Republican or Democrat, if you took money from PG&E, because the company was convicted of murder, they're convicted felons, then all of that money, we need to find out what we're going to do about it, because it's not theirs to give to charity. And there's a lot of people that took money from this dirty company.
By the way,
they're in bankruptcy now. You can't even give it back without going through the bankruptcy courts. This is just a mess.
Yeah, it's corrupt to the core. And if it continues this way and people do not rise up and stand up and do something, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose in ways that you didn't even think you would. It's coming to your doorstep. That's why you need to get out there and support candidates like Chris Bish. People all over the state that are running for Congress. You need to turn California red and sweep this election through California and shock these Democrats and send them home. Because
we have enough Republicans just in California to flip the House.
Yes.
And
the Democrats have done nothing. They've done nothing.
They don't want to do anything for this president. It's all about this president and it's money and corruption and who they know. Now, I can tell you right now, we've got pictures of Doris with Gavin Newsom. She hangs on him like a cheap piece of jewelry. She's always with Nancy Pelosi, and she votes lockstep with him.
Yeah.
And she has the highest discretionary spending in Congress.
Yeah, it's absurd. And California wants to be bailed out. No, thank you. Taxpayers around the country, we are not bailing out California for the mistakes of Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters and Adam Schiff and Gavin Newsom. No thanks. And by the way, Chris, I want to hit on some positive things about you. Chris is like I said, she's a cancer survivor, number one. God bless your heart for that. She's a small business owner, realtor, lived in California, then went to New York, then moved back to California. She's been endorsed by the California GOP. She's been endorsed by the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, and also Chris is the Sacramento chair for the Milton Friedman for Educational Freedom Initiative. So former now. But I want to go back for a second to repeal AB 5. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about AB 5?
AB 5 is horrible. What it is, it takes people that were working for independent contractors, working for companies like Uber or Lyft. If you were a wedding photographer, any kind of, they call it gig work, right? Where it's individual jobs. And so they passed a law in California saying it was illegal. And we've had Uber and Lyft, who are by far the wealthiest people involved in these gig work jobs. They've been taking on the governor and the secretary of state and the whole mess here. Right now, those people can still keep their jobs. But on top of COVID, we've had industries. People, I've got a gentleman in my office owned an entertainment company. He did concerts and graduations and weddings and you name the event. Decades in this business shut down. Independent limo cab drivers, they can't do gig work anymore. Just crippling the economy. And as a real estate agent, I've seen people just taking a bath on their house. They're just walking away or selling it and getting what they can to get out. And I'm, telling people, just stick around. Give me a chance.
Yeah.
Don't leave. Don't let them run you out of your home, out of your state, out of your business. We can fight back. We can not only save California, we can flip the House, and we can help the president make America great again.
That's right. That's right. And it's crazy because, and I was talking, and I've heard this several times over the last year, really, or a couple of years, because of what's going on in California. This is an interesting statistic. Like to move from Dallas or Las Vegas or Ohio or anywhere, and to move to California to rent a U-Haul, it's a couple $100. If you want to rent a U-Haul to leave California to go to one of those states, it's in the thousands because nobody can keep the U-Hauls because people are leaving so fast because of these Democrats that have destroyed the state and every day do something new to destroy California. It's just absurd.
It's about power.
People need to stand and fight.
They do. And I'm definitely a fighter. And for the people who aren't willing to give in, for people who just want a normal life, and I don't blame a lot of the citizens. You see what happens to politicians. It doesn't matter what they do. You know, they'll make up lies. They'll try and destroy your business, destroy your family, and turn you into a criminal. And it's just, as far as I'm concerned, surviving this cancer, they've already tried to kill me, and they couldn't. And now I'm coming back with a vengeance. And we are taking California back.
I love your grit. I love your fight, Chris. Look, I know that you're an energy leader, clean water leader. You care about your community.
Second Amendment. That secures the First Amendment.
That's right. I know you're a Second Amendment proponent of Second Amendment rights. And I know that you care not only about your community, your constituents, Sacramento, California, but also our senior citizens. I know that's near and dear to your heart.
It is. You know, when we bought our house, you know, back in the 90s, I specifically bought the house that I have so that my mother could come and live with me. But, you know, what we're doing to seniors out here is just horrible. And there's things that we can do in Washington to fix it. Recently, just about a month ago, I was out with Scott Pressler and the Persistence. And we were cleaning up Sacramento area, and we were at a homeless camp. And I ran into a camp full of Vietnam vets, other veterans, and they had set up a campsite underneath an overpass. And I was polite, asked them if I could help them, if I could clean up that area for them. Nice. And their area was pretty good, but I can tell you, there was a gentleman there who told me he was there visiting friends because he has his VA benefits, but even with the benefits, they can't afford to live. So they have money for food, but there's no place for them to go because we also have a housing shortage. And he was there visiting friends, and this gentleman told me it was thanks to President Trump, there was money for vets to help him get a house. And they asked me to promise that when I'm elected, that I will help all of our vets get clean, affordable, safe housing. They don't want to live homeless. They don't want to be under these bridges. Now, it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different story. I personally was homeless as a child. I know what's going on. I know how to fix it. And it's not going to be easy because we didn't get here overnight. But I can tell you right now, as soon as this moratorium on evictions and foreclosures is over, we are going to have an exponential homeless problem.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
This is going to be bad.
And I want to thank you because I'm a military veteran myself. I want to thank you for your concern, not only for your community, not only for your state and our seniors, but also our veterans. Thank you for caring so much, Chris.
Oh, you are welcome. And thank you for your service.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yeah, I've got several vets, friends of mine that fought in the Gulf War, and they're having the physical effects and of everything. And up until President Trump came in and cleaned up what was going on at the VA, a lot of them weren't getting the treatment that they needed. It's the leadership from this president, in spite of a Congress that wants to obstruct him.
That's right.
All I can say is once the Republicans flip the House and you've got me there fighting, we're going to see a change in this country that we've never seen. It's going to be better than the first 4 years of Trump. These second 4 years are going to be amazing, and we are going to transform this country back into the republic it was intended to be.
I'm so excited. I love your fight, Chris. I love it.
Well, I'm your law and order girl. I'm all about peace, freedom, and justice. And a little tidbit, in my past life, I was an investigator. And so, you know, I can smell corruption, and I'm actually really good at it. And it's time to take all that experience and history that I have in not only in real estate, but in investigations.
Yes.
I'm going to be an asset to the U.S. House of Representatives. And I can tell you, I'm the fighter that you want, and not just for Sacramento. Because if you've got any place else in this country, if you've got a representative not returning your call, let me know who they are. I'll go beat on their door. Say, hey, Bob's calling from South Carolina. Why haven't you gotten back to him?
That's right. And Doris Matsui is not returning her constituents' calls.
No,
So,
I called her about the contamination. I've actually had people reaching out to me, people who are trying to get their citizenship. They want to vote. I've got disabled vets who are having trouble getting their VA benefits, and she doesn't return her calls. She's never in her office, and not everybody can walk in because the Democrats say that, we can have voter ID,
right.
because not everybody has an ID. Do you know that she is in a federal courthouse? She has one of the most expensive district offices in Congress, and you have to go through federal security with a state issued ID to even get in, if you can get an appointment with her when she's here.
Yeah. And not only that, but she claims to be a resident of Maryland. So she's a liar.
Yeah. And we have the tax statements for it. We've got the House Ethics Committee report on it, and she has some questions to answer.
Yeah. Americans, you've got to hold Doris Matsui accountable. Hold her accountable, America. This isn't just for Californians either.
Exactly.
Get on the phone, call your senator, demand that she resign from that committee.
Your representative, Congress representative.
Yeah, and demand that she resign from that House committee immediately.
And I'm going to take the shameless plug. We do need more donations. This lady is married to a billionaire, a very powerful man who runs this company, AES. We need your donations, and you can go to bishforcongress.com or bishforcongress.org or bishforcongress.net. I don't leave any stone unturned.
That's right. That's right. And by the way, that's scrolling at the bottom. Bishforcongress.org, bishforcongress.com, bishforcongress.net. Go see her on Twitter. Follow Chris, and make sure that you get involved, not only to help California go red and get these Democrats out, but also to help our country, because people like Doris Matsui that are sitting in the House doing nothing, just lapping up more corrupt dollars from China, is not what we need, and it's not what we want, America. They're screwing you.
Yeah, well, and they're doing it, this whole China gate. Well, everybody was looking at Russia. They've got their pockets in China, and I can tell you right now, we have the documents to show that Doris has been dirty with China going all the way back to the Clinton administration.
Yep.
And, Judicial Watch was involved in that, getting her subpoenaed and calling her the ringleader of Chinagate. Not to escape the Clintons and the dirty money.
If that doesn't wake you up, people, I don't know what will. But I know a lot of you out there cannot stand the Clintons. So even if it's just to stop the Clintons, hold Doris Matsui accountable and get on the phone and demand that she be held accountable, demand that she resign from that House committee today, not tomorrow, today.
Yes.
Chris, is there anything else? Is there anything else you want to add and tell our audience before we let you go today?
I just want to say this is the most important election of our lifetime. Yeah. If you look at the person that's running against our president, at the person that Doris has endorsed, this is corruption that goes deep. It goes deeper than me. And quite honestly, to clean this up, we're going to have to flip the House of Representatives. And if you're not in my district, if you're with Buzz Patterson or Eric Early or Errol Weber or any one of the Republicans that are running, not only in the state of California, but across this country, you need to get out. You need to vote. Even if you think your guy has it, We are up we are up against the biggest political corruption machine the planet has ever seen.
Yes,
and they are desperate. Now, and that's the other thing I want to say is if you look at the riots, the fear mongering, how they manipulated the virus to keep people down, to scare them, understand they are showing all their cards, and they're showing their cards because they are desperate.
Yes.
And that means we are in striking distance.
Yes.
I need people in the Sacramento area. If you can't donate, contact my office, volunteer. You can do it through the website. You can volunteer to make phone calls for me any place in the country. I need your help to not only take California, take my district, but to save this country.
That's right, Chris. Make sure you guys, again, you've got the website below, bishforcongress.org, bishforcongress.com, bishforcongress.net. Get in touch with Chris. Even if all you can do is make phone calls and you're in Iowa or you're in New Hampshire or you're in Florida, it doesn't matter. You can get involved and help Chris, help people like Errol Weber and Buzz and Asia Smith and Joe Collins, help them sweep California and take over and get these Democrats out. They are ruining our state. They're ruining our country, and we've had enough. So get involved. Leave no stone unturned. Don't think that we have anything in the bag. You must get out there and vote and do it in huge numbers, overwhelming numbers.
Exactly. And yet, across this country, we have to stick together.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Chris, I want to thank you for coming on today. I want you to update me on the situation on the legal things that you're working on with Doris Matsui, because I know there's some other things coming up. Please keep me abreast so we can have you back on the show leading up to the election. Folks,
we've been doing a lot of investigation.
Yes, that's right. Folks, thank you for joining us this afternoon on Indivisible. We're actually going to have a second show today after Chris in about an hour and a half, or not even that, about an hour and 15 minutes. We've got Josh Barnett, who's running for Congress in Arizona District 7. So we want to thank Chris for coming on. Everybody get in contact with her campaign, and we will definitely keep in touch with Chris and get updates and have her back on the show. Thanks for joining us on Indivisible. We'll see you next time, America. God bless you.